Right now, the world is staring at a date, circled in red. November 3rd. General Richard Shirreff, a former NATO Deputy Supreme Commander, has warned that on that day, a single spark in the Baltics could set off a chain reaction leading straight into a NATO-Russia war. This isn't a scene from a novel. This is a sober warning from a man who once sat at the very top of the alliance. So what happens if his scenario comes true? And more importantly, what does it mean for America, for Europe, and for you watching at home? Welcome to the Survival Brief, where we break down the threats shaping our world. Make sure you hit subscribe, drop a like, and stick around, because what we're about to explore could redefine the future of global security. Shirreff's November 3rd scenario. Here's the scenario Shirreff lays out. On November 3rd, a sudden, unexplained blackout sweeps across Lithuania. Cities go dark. Trains stop on their tracks. Hospitals scramble onto backup generators. Panic spreads across social media. By nightfall, governments have no choice but to declare martial law. And just as confusion peaks, Moscow moves. In Kaliningrad, Russian forces go on high alert. State media accuses NATO of staging provocations. Then, before dawn, limited strikes are launched just across Lithuania's border, probing NATO's defenses, daring the alliance to respond. For the first time since NATO's founding, Article 5, the principle that an attack on one is an attack on all, would be on the table. And the question is no longer abstract, it's immediate. Does NATO strike back? Does America lead? Or does hesitation fracture the alliance? Why this matters now? You might think this is just speculation, but look at what's happening right now. In late September, 3 Russian MiG-31s flew into Estonian airspace with their transponders off. They stayed there for 12 long minutes before Italian F-35s intercepted them. Poland has reported over 20 Russian drones crossing its skies, some shot down, some crashing, all described as large-scale provocations. In Copenhagen and Oslo, unidentified drones forced airports to shut down for hours, delaying hundreds of flights. And cyberattacks have paralyzed airports from Heathrow to Berlin to Brussels, crippling boarding systems and stranding passengers. These are not random incidents. They are stress tests. Russia is probing, escalating just enough to push the limits without triggering outright war. Russia's strategy? Controlled chaos. The Kremlin thrives on ambiguity. Its playbook is controlled chaos. Cross a border for minutes, then retreat. Send drones over cities but don't fire. Launch cyberattacks but leave no fingerprints. Each move achieves two things. It tests how fast NATO reacts. It tests how divided NATO becomes under pressure. The danger isn't a full invasion tomorrow. The danger is miscalculation. A drone collides with a commercial airliner. A NATO pilot misreads a maneuver. Suddenly, a signal becomes a spark, and the spark becomes war. NATO's response so far. To its credit, NATO hasn't ignored this. After Estonia's airspace breach, the North Atlantic Council convened under Article 4, reaffirming unity. Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg warned that any repeat incursions would bring firm, proportionate responses. Poland has gone even further, vowing to preemptively shoot down drones or jets that violate its skies. Operation Eastern Sentry has shifted air patrols and cyber defenses along the eastern flank. But here's the real question. Are these steps enough, or are they too cautious compared to Moscow's bold provocations? America's dilemma. And that brings us to Washington. If Shirreff's scenario plays out, America faces three paths. Path 1. Decisive leadership. U.S. pilots in Poland and the Baltics engage immediately. More brigades deploy from Germany and the U.S. homeland. Warships flood the Baltic Sea. Cyber Command strikes back against Russian networks. The message? NATO stands united. The cost? Higher gas prices, crashing markets, U.S. troops in combat. Path 2. Hesitation. The White House pauses. Congress debates. NATO unity cracks. Moscow seizes the narrative, claiming the Baltics aren't worth world war. The result? America looks weak. Adversaries in Beijing, Tehran, and North Korea see an opening. Cyberattacks and provocations multiply, maybe not in Tallinn, but in Texas. Path 3. Strategic retreat. The darkest outcome. Washington signals it won't fight for every NATO frontier. The alliance fractures. Russia expands. China tests Taiwan. Iran pushes Israel. North Korea stirs the Pacific. For Americans, the consequences are felt at the gas pump, the grocery aisle, and in the safety of their communities as cyber defenses crumble.
The stakes for everyday Americans. This is not just about Europe. This is about American homes. Oil prices spike overnight. Retirement accounts sink as markets panic. Cyber attacks hit hospitals, banks, and utilities. Families see loved ones deployed on combat tours. Communities lose essential workers to mobilization. The ripple effects of a NATO-Russia crisis would land directly in American life, fast. Lessons from history. History tells us sparks can light global fires. 1914, one assassination triggered World War I. 1962, missiles in Cuba brought the world to the brink. Even small incidents can spiral when leaders hesitate or overreact under pressure. Shirreff's warning about November 3rd isn't prophecy, it's a mirror. It forces us to ask, are we ready for a world where provocations multiply and the line between peace and war is measured in hours, not years? So, here's the bottom line. If Russian jets are shot down in NATO skies, or if the Baltics go dark on November 3rd, how should America respond? Strike back hard? Hesitate? Or hold back entirely? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear your perspective. And don't just watch, share this video with someone who needs to understand how fragile this moment is. Finally, make sure you subscribe to the Survival Brief for fact-based analysis on the threats shaping our world. Because when the sparks start flying, the countdown is already ticking.